Hey, look what we got for you. We got some fresh pasta sheets, and we're going to teach you how to make jumbo ravioli. This is one of my favorite when I have time, or I'm trying to spoil somebody. But I don't like a lot of people, so I don't spoil nobody. So, like I said, we got some fresh pasta sheets here. What we're going to use for filling today, we did some very, very slow roasted lamb. You know, I think it was 10 and a half hours. So what we got here is we've got a mixture of, you know, that slow cooked lamb. It smelled amazing. I use the herbs and seasonings that I like, but you can do it any way you want. And then all we did here to make the filling, we added an egg. We added a little bit of salt and pepper, a little bit of fresh garlic, breadcrumbs, and ricotta. That's the filling. That's easy. It's that simple. So now that we've got these sheets, you would have seen in a previous episode how it is you make pasta and then roll it out. But because it's been sitting here for a bit, we want to get a little more moisture back into it because these two sheets are going to be put on top of each other, and then they're going to need to stick together. And dry pasta doesn't stick together. So just use a bit of warm water, brush it across. You're not in a rush. Trust me, if you're Italian, you're not in a rush. So do it like the Italians do. If you got to go pour yourself some wine, go pour yourself some wine. There you go. Look at this. And there's no right or wrong way. You're not going to ruin it if you use a little extra water. Just make sure you get everything equally because you don't want the pockets opening up. Because you've seen it when you have those little store-bought stuffed pastas. One of the edges opens, then it just makes everything messy. It doesn't present really well. As you can see, there's no special technique here. Let's just get it all ready. And again, I'm going to make a larger than, restaurant serving ravioli, but you can make them any size you want. Just keep in mind you don't want to fill it up all the way to the edges because as it boils, it expands, especially if there's moisture in it. It's going to pop the sides. So you got to give a little bit of room for expansion. All right, so we got all this done. Yeah, it's got a nice layer on it. Pasta is not difficult. If you overcomplicate it, it's going to cause problems. These are the sheets, no special ingredients went into it. You got your flour, your salt, your eggs, and a little bit of water. And then you mix it up like we showed you in the last episode. Then you roll it out. It's that simple. Yeah, you could have put like herbs and spices inside the pasta before you rolled it out. But I would get used to making a good base first and then go from there. Okay, so these are basically ready. So once it's flipped on it, you'll press between the pockets and then you'll cut it. I'm going to use a blade with an interesting little pattern there. Kind of like when we did the tagliatelle. And just to add, a nice little border around it. But plan out how many you're going to make. Like for this size sheet, I'm probably going to go 3 this way, 5 this way. So this will make 15. Good enough for 2 portions. You can make an odd number. It's okay. You don't need to tell your guest that you took the extra one. You did all the cooking. Eat the extra one. Unless she's pretty, then you give her the extra one. All right, so all we're going to do. So this isn't super wet. We did add the breadcrumbs to keep it at a consistency where you can tell it's damp, but if it's really wet, it's going to boil inside it and split an edge again. So, depending on the size of the ravioli that you're going to make, will determine the pocket that goes inside. And you can place them out at the beginning just to get an idea of whether you have to add a little bit more, take a little bit off. These are looking pretty good. And it's good to lay out in each direction first, because this way you know if you can act, like I said 3 by 5, but if 5 doesn't quite work, 4. Okay, so you only got 12, and then you can equally split it with your friend. Or just eat more if you're a pig like me. So, again, don't take anything too seriously. Enjoy cooking. Chef and I were just talking about that. He's preparing for a cooking class tonight. Some very lucky people. They're going to do a French style cooking class.
Wine fairy,
with a wine pairing. Like, come on, that's enjoying cooking. What's the point of cooking if you're not gonna have fun? So, let's keep this going. That's 2. So the way it looks right now, I should be able to get 5, but I might not. And again, I'm just making them into a ball so I can make sure they're roughly the same size. They don't have to be perfectly round because they're going to get squished anyways. We may not, let me just, we may not get this perfect, but we'll figure it out. Yeah, this will work. We'll make it work. So just make sure you get your equal spacing, and then you can set up the grid so you know how it's going to get laid out. All right. And again, the filling can be anything you want. You can make a vegetarian version. You don't need to have the lamb in here. You don't have to have any type of meat in it. You could, you know what works really well? If you grate up some eggplant and fry it. It turns out, as long as you don't mush it up too much, it's the same consistency as like ground beef. And who doesn't like eggplant? So, all right. I know, this part's a little bit boring, but yeah, it is what it is. That one I pressed down just to see how big it'll be when it squishes once we bring the other sheet over. We're almost done. We got to make 4 more. Look at me getting ahead of myself. Here we go. All right. 3 more. And we're not even in a rush. If the pasta dries out a little bit, add a little more water. Some people like to use whisked up egg to make the, to make the 2 sheets stick. 6 one, half dozen of the other. I've never actually found it to not work with water, but you do it however you want to try. Maybe try it this way this time. Try it with egg next time. See if you get any differences. So what I'm actually going to do with the rest of this filling is I'm going to make a couple cannelloni as well. But I'll leave this on the side for now. A little less. There we go. 5 by 3. Now, yeah, we're good and damp. And here's the really simple part. We're going to complete it. Actually, before we do that, I'm just going to give them a little press. Because if you press it afterwards, you might split the pasta if you press too hard. So right now, this will work well. Kind of like if your mom ever made peanut butter cookies when you were younger. Now, next step, super simple. There's not a lot of technical knowledge needed here. The next part is up to you, however you like to do it. I like to just pick a line in between the pastas, figure out where they are, and just start pressing down for the initial connection. A little bit like that. If you want, you can bring, just recenter it in your sheet. Press it out like that. Look how easy this is. Then you can tell everyone. Did I do it?
Good.
It looks good?
Beautiful.
The professional's here now, so. Oh my goodness. Now he's just making me look bad.
No, that looks wonderful.
That's a perfect? Okay.
Very good.
Hey, look at that. I got a better mark this time.
Chef, can I use the oven?
Oh, absolutely,
But you
absolutely.
can do that, no problem.
Okay, don't burn me. All right, we're gonna do this, gonna do that. Once you've set your lines, you just keep pressing down. Try not to incorporate too much air. That's why you'll notice I went in directions. Because again, air as it expands will pop the pockets. So before you go and actually seal everything down, as you saw Chef do when he came over, try and get close around the actual stuffing and then work individually, work the air out like this, like that. Like that. Again, not difficult. Just enjoy the process. It's very therapeutic if you let it be. Don't worry about making everything absolutely perfect. If it looks too perfect, no one's going to want to eat it. All right. Look at that. And don't worry about if you're, you know, a lot of people worry, oh, a little bit of air getting around, it's hard to lock it down. When you go to cut it, you'll actually seal it really well. Look at that. See, and you just slowly work all the air out. You'll see little pockets build up, then you just work them out. You know, you're just trying to get most of the pasta touching. I don't have cameraman Mac around right now, so I'm gonna have to, I'll switch sides here to show you what it looks like. I'll bring the camera over in a second. Just want to finish these last couple up. There you go. See, and when you get more of the air out, then you can just go back and add a little more pressure, It's basically like playing with Play-Doh when you were a kid. All right, so I'm gonna come grab the camera just to give you a better look, get you in there. I do apologize if that didn't go as well as planned, but you know what? It is what it is. Actually, you know what? I'm going to bring this up here as well to show you what I meant. You probably saw us using this when we had the tagliatelle. It's just, you know, a zigzag pattern. It just floofs it up a bit, you know? Makes it look like it's worth whatever you're going to charge. So now I'm going to go around it and I'm actually going to give it some effort. We've gotten pretty much all the air out. So at this point, now we want to give it a good press. And what this will do is it'll really amalgamate those two layers of pasta. So you don't get anything coming out. But you don't want to drive a nail into it, because then you're just cutting it and you're going against what you're trying to do. So it's just a little more force than you started with. So I'm just going to cut this. Then maybe I'll get Chef to bring the camera over. We'll see. But I'm going to do this first. Maybe we'll do another one just so it's obvious what it is I'm doing. But all I'm doing now is I'm using this little crinkle cut blade. Look at that. Oh, thank you, Chef. That's beautiful. And then back this way. And a little bit like this. There you go. And I'm just going to clean up the edges so they continuity. A little bit over here. And this is what I meant. If you don't press down hard enough when you're doing the pockets, it doesn't matter, because when you do edges like this, it's sealed, right, Chef?
100%. That's very good. Looks very good.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much, Chef. I'm gonna clean this all up. You're gonna impress your friends. That's if you have friends, like, because I don't. But if I had friends, they'd be impressed. All right. So where does this leave us? Well, I'm gonna turn the camera off here. I'm gonna figure out what kind of sauce that we're gonna do these up in, and then we'll be back. So stay tuned.